Sometimes I just don't have any funny shit to do. Just gotta watch my sweet, 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 sweet dance. Yeah! Jesus. Oh, Jesus Christ. Get too old for this shit. Oh shit, it's that time again. It's time to listen to some records, man. That's what you tuned in for. If you tuned in at all. Let's see. Guess we'll just choose the most exciting part of the show here, which is to choose a record. Sorry, not much of a preamble. I don't have shit to say today. I don't have anything clever to say, so we'll just get right into it. Let's see. What did I choose from? God, I don't even remember what I chose from last time. It doesn't matter. Randomly choosing. These are all out of fucking order, so it doesn't really matter where I grab it from. So let's try this side. Try over here. Whatever this is right here. What? I'm not looking at it. I don't know what it is. What is it? Drum roll. Ravi Shankar, Charlie. This is an original soundtrack recording. Cool. I haven't listened to this in forever, or since I bought it, I think. I don't know if you know who Ravi Shankar is, but he's widely regarded as the greatest sitar player ever. Maybe that's not true anymore. There's some like badass 12-year-old on the internet who's the new awesome sitar player, but Charlie by... Oh, geez, who is... I think that's a... Is that based on Flowers for Algernon? I gotta do a little... Yeah, right here. From... You can't fucking see it. From the novel Flowers for Algernon by Daniel Keyes. Which I vaguely know. I think that's like essentially the Lawnmower Man story. Anyways, I'll get into that, and then we'll get into that more in a minute. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and listen to this. Cool. Ravi Shankar. Awesome. Hey, cat. I got a little buddy hanging out with me. How you doing? It's like, I'm trying to nap. Leave me alone. Oh. Meow. Meow. That's a nice story. Tell me more. Meow. This is like when you touch your butt. Alright. So, Charlie by Ravi Shankar. Music by Ravi Shankar. So, Charlie, I think I said earlier, is... if you ever saw Lawnmower Man, that's basically the story. This is based on the novel Flowers for Algernon, which was the original idea. Which, if you don't know, if you've never seen Lawnmower Man, or if you've never seen Charlie, the idea is that Charlie, this guy, that's Charlie, was, oh geez, I don't even know the correct way to say it anymore. He had a low IQ? I think that's the most PC way I can come up with saying it the way I would normally say it. He had a low IQ. And these doctors did an experiment on him, and they tripled his IQ, and he became smart, and his whole life changed because of the change of his intelligence. And then, at least in this story, the movie story, because I read the Wikipedia on it while I was listening, he ends up losing his intelligence and reverts back by the end of the story. So it kind of shows this sort of like, he goes up and then he comes back down, and it's supposed to be tragic because his life changed for the better, and then it kind of went back. But I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really give you a good interpretation of it. I can talk about the music, though. Let's talk about the music. How was the music? The music was pretty good. This is going to sound like a ridiculous statement, but it was very soundtracky. What I mean by soundtracky is there are certain scores that are written for music that sort of transcend the fact that they were written for, did I say for music? I meant a movie. Certain scores written for a movie that transcend the fact that it was written for a movie. What I mean by that is, for an example, would be like, I really like Princess Mononoke by a guy named Joe Hisaishi, who does all of the Studio Giblets soundtracks. He also used to do Beat Takeshi soundtracks too, which was very interesting. If you know anything about those two different types of directors. And he did the soundtrack for Joe Hisaishi did the soundtrack for Princess Mononoke, which I absolutely love and I listen to on the regular. I don't need Princess Mononoke is so good and so moving and so in a way of itself that I can listen to those completely apart from the movie and be moved by them, and I don't need the movie to work with the music. Whereas other soundtracks, when you listen to them, you can almost tell they need to be going to some images. They need to be going with a movie. They were made for the movie. They were made as an expression of that movie. And so you can listen to them and they can be great, and like this one was pretty good. But you know, there's always that sense of like you almost can see that it belonged to some images. It needed to go along with some images in a way when you're listening to it. I don't know if I explained that. I don't know if I said that right, but having said that, it was good. I enjoyed listening to it. You know, obviously Ravi Shankar is great, and you know, all the other musicians. There's a list of guys on here. I don't know who did what, actually. I don't know all the instruments. I really like the fact that, like, Ravi Shankar, he's playing the sitar, and almost all the other instruments are more like Western style instruments. I think there's a clarinet in there, and was there a piano? It might have been like a organ or something. There's something like a piano in there, but all Western instruments. And then you got Ravi Shankar, and he's playing the sitar. And man, that sitar blended with the Western instrument, they just sounded really, really good together. So I really like that mix of, you know, different, I guess, cultural backgrounds and musics coming together and really sounding nice together. So they did a great job on that. Like I said, it does sound really soundtracky. It sounds like it needs to go with a movie, which is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Also, I mean, it was a very pleasant album. I mean, it had some sort of nice tunes, which you might think of as, I don't want to say nice, because sometimes I'm so inarticulate about this stuff. I think I'd be better at it. It had some they're all very pleasant. It's all very pleasant sounding, and there was also, but there was a few songs where there was like an edge of melancholy. I think that part, a lot of that had to do with the movie, because it sounds like there were some sad parts in the movie. So it had some of that, which was nice too. It's kind of like what I said last week with that the Elizabeth Cotton album. You know, this would be a great. I don't mean this as a dig. I love music like this. It's kind of good background music. You know, like if you're entertaining, you got some friends over, you just want to put some music on, you know, this wouldn't be a bad thing to put on. It's pleasant to listen to. It's nice. I can't imagine anybody would object to the Charlie soundtrack. You put this in and they'd be like, no, I hate that Charlie soundtrack. I really find that hard to believe. Some other things I thought that were very interesting. This is I don't really. My cover's all fucked up because it's just old, so you can see all the, you know, the wear marks and stuff like that. But even just the photography, this is I believe a still is what it looks like from the film, and it's not the best still. It kind of would have been nicer if they had actually got a photographer and done just photography for the cover of this. They could have even done the same shot, and I think it would look a little bit better. It's kind of a little bit blurry. It doesn't look that bad actually when I'm looking through the camera, but when you actually look at it, Yeah, you can tell it looks like a still. I mean, I'm sure, just like, it's Hollywood, so they were probably trying to do the records on the cheap. Speaking of Hollywood, so it's a gatefold, which is pretty cool, because that was like gatefolds. Oh, it's Ravi! Hey, Ravi! And there's some of his... I think these are just his pictures of, like, him and his band? I don't know. And over here, there's words. They loved words back then. Lots of words. And some scenes from the movie. But I read this whole thing in here, and what I liked about it, what I thought was very interesting about it was, you got the director-producer talking about how he hired Ravi Shankar because he was very interested, because Ravi Shankar was interesting and different, and he had something unique and individual to him in his playing, and this director heard him play somewhere and was like, I want that for my film. And so Ravi Shankar shows up to the recording studio. They've got all these top tier other musicians there. They're all waiting to record. He doesn't show up with any liner notes or any music at all. And apparently he just went around and he just started like testing all the musicians and like seeing what they could do and making them improvise and pushing them to their limits, and really bringing out the musician in each musician. And the director started freaking out because he was like, we're on a budget, we're paying these people, we need to get this done. And Ravi just had his own way of working and stuck to it. And by the end of the process, it seemed like it was a much more improvisational process to get this music done, which I also think is really fucking awesome. That it sounds like they probably workshopped these tunes in a session, because they're really tight. I mean, they sound like they were written. But he walked in the studio and they were like, okay, well, what are we going to do today? It was like they really didn't know what was going to happen until it was done. And I just really like the fact that you've got this machine-like Hollywood studio, and then you've got this guy who comes in and he's like, nope, we're gonna do it this way, and it ended up working. Sorry, I was running out of time, so I had to restart the video. I don't know why this camera only films 10 minutes and then it craps out, but that's what I got so far. Maybe one day I'll have a better camera, I can film longer. So sorry, I was talking about the fact that let's look at something different. Look at the back. You can't. That's Ravi in the studio. That's such a bad print. It's all fucked up. It's hard to see him. So sorry. What I was saying was Ravi. What I really like about that story was, when you get these, especially in Hollywood, you're getting these producers, and maybe they hire a musician because of their uniqueness, and then they get them in the studio and they don't want them to be unique. They want them to follow the machine-like steps of a corporation or whatever to get their work done. And I like that he came in and he was like, no, we're not going to do it that way. And even the director in here wrote, let's read this passage that was good. Oh, I can't find it. I'm sorry. I don't want to waste any more time. But he says something to the fact that, like, the director was really concerned and worried and freaking out, and apparently Ravi Shankar wasn't worried at all. He was like, this isn't going to be a problem. I'm a musician. It's no big deal to me. And he finished it, and I guess Ravi Shankar was upset with the director because he was like, how could you... I'm surprised you're even worried about it, So I like that story. I think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty cool that a lot of this recording was improvised. I like that Ravi Shankar came in and he had his own way of doing things that was completely separate from the Hollywood machine, and he stuck to it, and they got the results that they wanted. They got a different sort of sounding music for the movie they were trying to make. So that's pretty awesome. else is there to say about this? Like the gatefold, I think sometimes, especially on these older movie soundtracks, just these older covers are just kind of lazy, I think. It's just my opinion. I mean, look, it looks, I'm pretty sure they just reused, like, pictures of his band, some old picture of him to put on it, you know, like, they didn't even do anything special for this album, but nevertheless, not bad. Recommendations? I don't know. I mean, it depends, I guess, if you like Ravi Shankar, if you like soundtrack. Yes, this always comes down to what your preference is. But, you know, like I said, too, it's always good to stretch a little bit. You know, I don't know, maybe you're at the house and you're doing a project and you just want to put some music on. Maybe you can find this on one of the streaming services. Why not? Put it in. Listen to some Charlie soundtrack. Maybe even go watch the movie. I kind of want to watch the movie after I read about it. It sounded interesting, although I read the entire Wikipedia gives you the entire plot, so I already know everything that happens. But maybe it's executed really well. That's always, you know, at this point in my life, I think I've seen just about every type of movie and type of story, and a lot of times it comes down to how it's actually told. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested. I might check it out. You should check it out too. Alright, I think that's it for this week. Charlie by Ravi Shankar. Check it out if you feel like it. Late.
Sometimes I do the same shit that with my fucking guitar. It's a motherfucking hit. It's the same old bullshit.